Well, welcome to this episode of Our Road to Camelot. This episode I'm going to be unboxing and installing the Yakry wireless rear view camera kit. This is supposed to be compatible with the pre-wiring that you'll find on Keystone and other RVs that do pre-wiring for rear view cameras. So let's go ahead and get into opening this box up and seeing what's inside. All right, so what do we got? So right at the very top of the box here, we do have the monitor that will be mounted in the cab of the truck. And there is the connecting wire that will be going to power. Instructions. We also have the pouch that contains various connectors depending on the configuration of how it's going to be wired up. Also, there are antennae that will be connected to not only the monitor but also the camera. The actual camera itself, so that should be able to hook right on into the back of the rig. Another mounting bracket, suction cup mount, I'm guessing for the actual screen, so these probably go together. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the install. So apparently there is a QR code for an installation video. Alright, so that looks like it's going to work pretty well to follow that instructional video.
First, take out of all items from the package. The package includes...
I do not mean to make fun, but I love the verbiage. Be sure to take out all package from the... yeah, whatever. Anyways, it should be helpful, but you know what? I'll give it straightforward on how to do that. So yes, take everything out of the box first. That's step number one. So I'm getting ready to do a pre-test of this system before we mount the camera. Before we mount this camera on the back of the rig, we need to kind of test it out to make sure everything works. And as I'm sitting in the truck here, I'm noticing a bit of an issue that could be a big issue. First of all, my Garmin GPS, it uses the cigarette lighter adapter, which is up here in the dash. And unless I figure out a way to re-plug that in, down below, I have USBs. I don't have another cigarette lighter. So unless I could figure out a way to wire this thing to use USB, I'm not sure how this is going to work. Now, inside here, I got more USB, but no cigarette lighters. So this is kind of I'm going to say this is probably a major flaw to new technology trying to plug into old technology when most vehicles will have USB but not have cigarette lighter 12-volt connections. So I got to see how this is going to work for me, unless I can figure out a way of having a Y adapter for two cigarette lighters, which I'm probably going to find one of those for now until I find a better solution. Now, in mounting this thing right now, my GPS fills here. That's my tire pressure monitoring. I was thinking if there's a way that I would be able to hook this monitor on the rear view mirror, but I think what's going to happen is it does have a windshield mount, and if I mount it high enough on the windshield, it won't be obstructing my view in driving. Before that, let's go ahead and just make sure everything's working. All right, so there is an adapter. Where'd I put it? Oh, I plugged it in already. It comes with an adapter, a Y adapter for testing. So I can go ahead and plug in my monitor screen. I'll go ahead and power that on. Oh, maybe the car has to be on. There we go. And I'm plugging in the camera. Go ahead and take the protector screen off of the camera. So yes, this is now working. Kind of look at ourselves there. Yeah, so there's a number of ways that we can configure this down below here in the settings. But this is working really well. So we're going to go ahead and install the camera. And I do have a couple other ideas of where I'm going to be able to install this monitor so it won't be obstructing my view. So next you're going to take the cover off the back of the rig that will expose the wires underneath. The green and white, I believe, is the hot wire. I'll double check that. The white and white is the ground. And we do have a connector that I'll be pulling these off. We have other wire nuts I can use to reconnect with the new connector. And then I guess we're just gonna have to be able to seal this off when we put the new camera back on. So anyways, in the last half a second since you've seen me, I've been to I've been to Lowe's, Home Depot, same sort of thing. Wound up picking up these. They're wire twist nuts. 2 different sizes, not sure which one I need to use, but I do plan to use this instead of this clip that it came with. I mean, the clip may be fine, but I don't want to take any chances of things coming apart. I'm more familiar with the nuts. Also, there was no way to seal this on and seal the hole that's up there. There's a gaping hole bigger than my thumb, and this is basically my thumb doesn't fit. So this is actually smaller than the hole that's in the back of the rig. I need to be able to seal that up. And yes, I can attach this and use all sorts of goop and it's going to look really messy. Or what I wound up doing is I went to Lowe's as well, and in the plumbing department they have this really thin rubber material. And I wound up cutting out a gasket that I'm going to actually glue and seal up there. Probably paint over the one side so it doesn't look orange. And then the wire will actually, this will be the wire that's going to go in there. And this will actually, I made a little tiny incision. That'll go in, and then I'll goop seal just that little tiny hole. And I will then go ahead and attach this onto the wall itself. So now that will have a nice tight seal. So basically that is going to be the connection I'm going to use on the back. I do have the red, which is hot, the black, which is ground. And as I already showed you, green is hot, white is ground. We'll go ahead and make that attachment and get this finished up. All right, so the main thing I want to do is make sure this is going to be wide enough to cover the hole, and it definitely is. I'm going to go ahead and make the splice onto the wires and get it ready to caulk and finish this up. All right, so I got the camera mounted. We're all set there. Time to get it tested out. If anyone asks, don't tell my daughter I was on the ladder. So yeah, it's all set. I'm gonna have to back the truck up so I can plug it in to the RV and to the fifth wheel and see if everything works. So let's check it out right now. Now I did come up with another solution as well for inside the cab on connecting. Rather than try to put a Y adapter with that and have this big nasty mess of wires on the dashboard, I wound up going to AutoZone and I found a USB to cigarette lighter adapter. I have all sorts of USB connections down below. All right, so I've actually added zip ties and I can slip them off as needed on my rear view mirror. It's not that heavy. I don't think it's going to put undue stress on the mirror itself. And all I need to do now is I'm going to probably get some command strips and add like little command strips to the side so I can run this down and out of the way. You won't even see the bigger cord. I mean, you won't even see that when I have my GPS on, but I can run this down and over to the side and get it to plug in down here. All right, so it is working. Camera is up, it's good. I may readjust just a tiny bit. I don't necessarily see the ladder, but I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit further back. I could see the nose of the neighbor's golf cart. We'll take a look at that in a second. But we are all done with the installation. It's working great having it on the rearview mirror. And let me do the one final adjustment on the angle and we are good to go. We'll take a quick look. Actually, the golf cart's a few car lengths behind me, but I think I'd like to have a little bit more than that. So if I just adjust it just a hair more, we should be good. It's just a tiny bit more and we're good. Okay, I think that's much better. I did adjust it a tiny bit more. So that's gonna do that for this video. Make sure you hit that subscription button, notification bell, let you know when we post every Sunday at 2. And thumbs up for good measure. We will see you on the road.